Michael Shure is with us, political correspondent with Current TV, part of the Young Turks with Cenk Uygur. And Michael, hey, welcome to the program.
Hey, great to be here, Tom.
So you are in Tampa at the RNC?
Yes, a strange place to be, I've got to tell you. But I am here, and aside from sweating like crazy and going through what is like a green zone barricade of security every day, twice a day to get in here, having a good time.
Yeah, okay. I'm curious, is there a sense among the delegates or among the Republicans there that they got badly burned last night by a bunch of politicians standing up and grandstanding and talking about themselves and not talking about the presidential candidate when the whole goal of this convention is to get the candidate elected president?
I did, Tom, talk to some people about the fact that Mitt Romney did not seem to be at all the focus last night, even curiously from his wife. And that was, I think, one of the things that really kind of irked us all was that, you know, we thought it was strange because she was the one who was going to present to America this image of a man she fell in love with, a man that she, you know, wanted everyone to see the soft side of. She hardly mentioned his name.
Well, and she didn't tell a single story.
That
was the thing that amazed me. I figured that she would at least say, you know, oh, there was this time when one of our kids, you know, fell and broke his arm, and Mitt called up and had, you know, one of our special chauffeurs take him to the hospital, you know, or something. You know, you expect something, but
she made no light either of the things that people sort of pick on him for. You know, the sort of the robotic presence that he has. She didn't say, yeah, Mitt's a stiff guy. We joke about it. There's nothing I can do about that. But deep inside that Herman Munster, there's a soft man. You know, there was none of that.
Or
no
you know, one of these days I'm going to get a whoopee cushion for him. You know, yeah,
right, exactly. There was nothing like that. And like you said, Tom, there was no anecdote. Nobody here is telling stories today about, oh, wasn't it sweet when Ann said fill in the blank? Because Ann didn't say anything that was memorable.
Right, which is really kind of tragic when you think about it. You would think that, given that this is a multi-$100 million event and part of a multi-billion-dollar event in the election, and they've got, in theory, some of the best consultants in the world. I mean, I ran an ad agency for 7 years, and I worked in the business for about 15 years, but you know, I don't represent myself as the world's, you know, #1 genius on advertising and PR, but even to me, it was obvious that last night was a disaster.
It was a disaster. I don't know what happened either. I mean, you could say, well, the day off sort of took momentum out of it. But even early in the night, as people came on stage, there was no energy from that crowd. It was told to us, in fact, that they were told to put the volume up because the crowd was so somber last night early on. The only big ovation that happened, and it took a while to get to him, was Scott Walker. He got a huge ovation. Then there, of course, when Chris Christie took the stage, there was some energy behind him, but those were from the Christie 2016 people. Those weren't from the Romney 2012 people.
Right. Who are the Romney 2012 people? Are they around? And also, the other, apropos of that as well, is what's going on with the Ron Paul people?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. Two different questions. The Romney 2012 people, Tom, are, you know, I think are the people that sheepishly put on their Romney Ryan pins in the morning and sort of walk over here through the police and through the security. They get here, they hold their signs up, and they don't seem to be doing it as any sort of with any passion at all. They seem to be doing it as a rite of passage. In other words, they have to get through this. I wasn't at the 1996 Republican convention, but I sort of feel there's a sort of Robert Dole-ness about this.
I was just thinking of Bob Dole. I almost said that. This sounds just like the way that people felt about Bob Dole.
And that's exactly the kind of feeling I got in there, having not, you know, sort of remembering it from television or not remembering having been there. It was really just kind of down. Now, to go to the Ron Paul question, you know, the whole thing with Ron Paul is last night it was the Republicans coming out finally and doing, you know, voter ID and voter suppression to their own people, to the Republicans in the hall. They were saying, all right, you cast 20 votes for him, you got 20 delegates, we're only going to give you 10. The contest committee said that. The credentials committee said that. Then they sit down and they walk out. And that was sort of, you know, it didn't impact the evening. It was during the roll call, but it certainly sort of I was going to say cast a pall, but I'm not going to say, well, I guess I just did.
Yeah.
But it
Bad
kind of,
pun, but it's okay.
Sort of, you know, a bit of weirdness around the hall for just a moment, and that was it. You know, then he's gone. It's like Ron Paul is gone. They want nothing to do with him. but they don't want a whole lot more to do with Mitt Romney.
Isn't Ron Paul's son Rand going to speak?
He is going to speak, and the question is whether he's going to take his father's mantle or he's going to embrace Romney. You know, one of the issues with Ron Paul was that he himself was going to speak. Yesterday he said he decided not to. And the reason being that the Romney people wanted to vet his speech and they wanted to make sure he endorsed him, that Paul endorsed Romney. And that wasn't going to happen, apparently. So it'll be interesting to see if Rand Paul makes this a speech about his father, because everybody seems to be making this a speech about anybody but Mitt Romney.
Right, which is the truly strange and weird thing.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts or observations about what you're seeing there that you'd like to share with our viewers and listeners?
Well, I mean, you know, the security is just, for an American, it's an eerie thing, and I'm not saying they're doing a bad job. It's just it's so disproportionate to the number of people here. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
So the feel that you're getting watching this at home or listening to it, that's one thing that you certainly don't get to experience here. I think that right now the question is, what are we waiting for? You know, are we waiting for Romney's speech? It was supposed to be sort of a lead up to that. There doesn't seem to be a great deal of sort of tension around what's Paul Ryan going to say, what's going to happen with Jeb Bush tonight. This just seems to be the kind of thing where they are marching, going through the motions, waiting for something to happen. That something has not yet happened here.
That's fascinating. Michael Shure, political correspondent with Current TV, part of the Young Turks with Cenk Uygur. Michael, thanks so much for dropping by today.
Hey, Tom, it's a pleasure.